we have here is potential nursing home assets. The potential nursing home assets is everything that you own. Everything. If you've got cash, checking, even if you've got cash in a cookie jar, they're probably going to find it. You know, you're checking CDs, stocks, bonds, real property. Remember we talked about revocable trusts? So if you have assets in a revocable trust, is that what we call a countable asset? Can the nursing home get at that? Absolutely. Joint account, assets. Now, if you do have life insurance less than $1,500, you're okay. But what the heck are you doing with life insurance less than $1,500? That can't even buy you a loaf of bread these days, you know. IRAs, 401ks, Roths, vehicles in a home. Everything is a potential nursing home asset. Scary, yeah? These are exempt assets for a single person. This is just for a single person. So if my spouse has passed away, I'm a single person. My exempt assets are assets. If I've got a checking account, savings account, or whatever, it's got to be less than $2,500. I can't have 50,000 IRAs, CDs, 401ks. All of that has to be spent down below $2,500. I am allowed limited personal property, basically an engagement ring, a wedding ring, maybe a piece of furniture I can put into my nursing home. That's all you're allowed. You are allowed to prepay your funeral, okay? The government wants to take all your money, but it doesn't want to bury you, okay? So prepay your funeral and your burial plot. Now, you're allowed what we call a personal needs allowance. That's $77. So once you get below this $2,500, your Social Security and pension is going to go to the nursing home. And then the difference will be made up from Medicaid. However, out of your Social Security and pension, you're allowed to keep $77. What the heck is $77? And I mean, you get your nails done, you get a haircut, that's it, okay?
Now is this
all others,
Maryland rule?
this is Maryland. And basically this is,
It is federal?
it's federal, yeah. Medicaid is a federal program with the states. Each state has its own little nuances. In Maryland, we're allowed to keep $2,500. Some states you're allowed to keep $2,000. Our personal needs allowance is $77. Some states it's $40. Some states it's $500. It just depends. But most of it is pretty general now, okay? This is the typical unmarried plan that we see for everybody. You have assets, your entire assets spent down, given to the nursing home, and now you've spent everything, it goes on Medicaid. So you're 100 grand, you pay 100 grand to the nursing home, you get nothing left, you're below $2,500, and then you go on Medicaid. Pretty sad, you've worked all your life. Or if you have a home, I think you were talking about the home, they can't force you to sell that home, but what they're going to do is, how much they spend on, you know, Medicaid benefits for you, they will put liens against your home. So if you're there for 3-4 years and your home's worth $250,000 and they've spent $400,000 on you, then they'll just take that home. Exempt assets for a married couple. So I've got husband and wife. So there's me and my wife. Unfortunately, my wife is in the nursing home. Thank goodness it's her, not me. So I'm what we call the community spouse. Now, as long as I'm living in that house, we can protect the home. Also, you're allowed to keep one vehicle, okay? Because the nursing home wants me to drive up to the nursing home in my car to take care of my wife. So I can feed her, bathe her, dress her. Now, that's what the nursing home should be doing, but they want me to do that, okay? We're allowed to prepay the funeral, and we're allowed personal property, and we're allowed half of assets up to $119,000 approximately. What the heck do I mean by that? Well, let's say I have, you know, my wife has $50,000 checking account, I've got $50,000 in an IRA, and then we've got $100,000 joint, okay? So what the state of Maryland does is adds them all up. So we've got 50,000 plus 50,000 plus 100,000, so that makes total assets of 200,000. So what happens is the state of Maryland divides that 200,000 by 2. So there's $100,000 for the what we call the community spouse, i.e. me, because I'm in the community, and there's $100,000 over here for the institutional spouse. Now this $100,000 has to be spent down below $2,500. So 10 months times 10 grand, 100 grand. So once it goes below 2,500 bucks, my wife would go on Medicaid and I keep the 100,000. Do we see that? Now, let's say we have 400,000, between his IRAs, so once again, we divide that by 2. So we get 200,000 and 200,000. 200,000 for me, the community spouse, $200,000 for the institutional spouse. However, the state of Maryland comes along and goes, oh, Mr. Wingate, you've got far too much money. You're only allowed to keep up to 119,000. So now I'm only allowed to keep 119, and the other, what was that, 81,000 transfers over to here. So now my wife, I've got 119, she has 281,000. So over the next 28 months times 10,000 is 280. We spend it down, and then she goes on Medicaid. Now I've got $119,000. Okay? So what I'm saying here is you're allowed to keep the home, a vehicle, prepaid funeral, personal property, and assets up to 119. Everything else has to go to the nursing home. You were kind of smiling when you first came in. I don't see any smiles now.
I didn't realize it was this drastic.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, most people don't know until it's too late. And I commend you to coming out today in this cold weather, So, typical married plan. Surviving spouse keeps the home, a car, up to 119. Everything else goes to the nursing home. Nursing home spouse has assets below 2,500 bucks.